Every screen right now is screaming war, blockades, missiles, sanctions, strong words, stronger tweets. It feels like history is being decided. But here is the punchline. If everyone's yelling about it, it's probably not where power is actually moving. The loudest wars are almost never the real wars. They're the ones meant to keep you emotionally busy, while decisions get quietly locked in somewhere else. Today, I'm going to show you how this works using the 6 tiers of power framework, and we'll anchor it in what's happening right now: Venezuela, the US, Mexico axis, China, and BRICS. Once you see this structure, the news stops hypnotizing you. Hi, Happy New Year and Merry Christmas. I'm Tim Suleiman, and this is Eagle's View, where power meets perspective. If you want to stay ahead of the curve instead of chasing headlines, subscribe. Ignorance is expensive, and the bill always comes due. Power doesn't operate on one level, it operates in layers, from loudest to quietest. Tier 6 is kinetic force, a war you can film. Tier 5, biological and social destruction. Tier 4, politics, media, narrative, manufacturing. Tier 3 is economics, money, infrastructure, energy. Tier 2, mind warfare, culture, religion, legitimacy. Tier 1, meta perception, what people think is possible. The lower the tier, the louder it is. The higher the tier, the more permanent the outcome. And here we have numbered the tiers from 1 to 6, 1 being the highest and 6 being the lowest. Now let's walk through them using reality, not theory. Tier 6, kinetic war, the fireworks. Tier 6 is what most people call war. Ships seized, tankers blocked, military enforcement around Venezuela. This is the part with uniforms, maps, and dramatic music. Tier 6 exists to signal force, scare opponents, justify pressure, keep audiences emotionally engaged. It's not fake, but it's performative. Tier 6 is the enforcement arm, not the actual brain. If war looks like a Netflix trailer, congratulations, you're watching the trailer, not the contract signing. Tier 4, politics, media, narratives, the story factory. Above the explosions sits Tier 4, politics, media, narrative framing, moral theater. This is where Venezuela becomes a story, not a country. One side is defending democracy, the other is resisting imperialism. Everyone claims the moral high ground, and the cameras eat it up. Tier 4 is where villains are cast, heroes are manufactured, complexity is flattened into slogans and platitudes. This tier doesn't decide outcomes, it manufactures consent for what's already decided elsewhere. Politics is not about truth, it's about making power moves feel reasonable. Think of Tier 4 as PR for Tier 3. Now, Tier 3. Economics, money, infrastructure, where states bleed. Now we arrive at the real battlefield. Tier 3 is economics, trade, money, energy, payment access, infrastructure. This is where Venezuela is actually being hit. Oil is useless if you can't insure it, move it, sell it, get paid for it. Block a tanker at Tier 6 and it makes headlines. Block settlement, insurance, and buyers at Tier 3 and a state suffocates quietly. Zoom out. Mexico slaps tariffs on Chinese goods. Border bridges expand for commercial traffic, not tourists. Supply chains reroute. Energy flows shift. No speeches, no hashtags, just spreadsheets doing violence. Tier 3 wars are boring, which is why they always work. Now the darkest tier. Tier 5 isn't about territory, it's about people. Historically, opium didn't just weaken China, it rewired it. Alcohol pacified entire populations. Tobacco killed more humans than most armies ever did. Today, it's synthetic opioids, chemical pacification, social decay, no invasion required. A society hollowed out at Tier 5 can't organize, can't think long-term, can't resist economic pressure. Tier 5 doesn't conquer states, it deletes civilizations, quietly, politely, and profitably. And somehow, this is still labeled public health issue. Cute. Now, Tier 2, mind warfare, conquest without soldiers. This is where conquest becomes voluntary. Religion, culture, education, legitimacy. This is where people adopt someone else's worldview and call it progress. Cargo cult behavior, imitating the symbols of power instead of understanding the mechanics. Historically, missionaries went where armies couldn't. Today, narratives go where missiles don't need to. If you win Tier 2, people police themselves, resistance dissolves, domination feels moral. This is the cleanest conquest in history. No blood, no flags, just beliefs quietly being replaced. And now we come to Tier 1, worldviews, meta-perception, concepts, and ideas, the final lock. This is what we've spoken about in the previous segment. Tier 1 is the ceiling. It's not what people think, it's what they think is possible, what feels inevitable, what feels just how the world works. Once Tier 1 is captured, you don't need force. People will defend the system that owns them. That's why the loud wars are so effective. They keep attention locked at the bottom while the top gets sealed shut. Knowing that our mental, spiritual, and physical survival hangs on a fragile global balance can trigger real anxiety. I really get that. I'm a coach and I help people rise above fear, not by denial, but by understanding, so they can operate from clarity, not panic. If you need help grounding yourself while the world feels unstable, book a call with me. The link is below. If you want deeper breakdowns, join the Inner Circle on Patreon. That's where we go slower, deeper, and sharper. And remember this, there are no uncontrolled processes in this universe. If you think there are, it's because you don't see the controls. Not yet. Those who understand what's happening govern those who don't. Knowledge isn't just power, it's sovereignty, it's your free will. Most people are sleepwalking. Eagle's view, where power meets perspective. Think for yourself, rise above the noise, and see you next year, next week.